Hi Year 5-6. So this term we are going to be looking at free speech and some art that we can do that's going to represent that for us. So I'm going to go through a PowerPoint with you in a minute, and today is really about generating some ideas, and then next week we are going to be starting to turn that into an artwork. Okay, so I'm going to flip my screen around so that you can see what I'm talking about. So here we go. Can I use and create art to represent free speech? That is what we are thinking about, okay? So today you're going to need some paper for notes and ideas, ideally some paper to draw with. Now remember, this isn't like a final piece of art or anything, so it's just some paper to draw and plan your designs, and then you'll need a pencil and some colour, okay? Right. So free speech, what does it mean? Now you're going to be doing lots about this in class, so I don't want to go too much into it. Really, I want us to think about more the freedom or trapped side of it, okay? So what I'd like you to do is close your eyes, and I'm just going to talk you through some things that I'd like you to imagine, okay? So the first part is I want you to close your eyes and just think to yourself, imagine being trapped, okay? Or a way of representing being trapped, okay? So being withheld, not being free. What does that look like? When I say that to you, that you're not free, or something is not free, it is trapped, it is captive, it is withheld, okay? What does that look like? What is it that you're imagining? When you're imagining something that isn't free, what is that? What does that look like? Is it a certain thing? Is it, I don't want to give you too many ideas. I want you to kind of come up with this yourself. So just envision that, being trapped, not being free, being captive, being withheld. What does that look like to you? Okay. Now, you might want to pause the video here, and then what you can do is just give yourself a moment to really think about these ideas, and then you can write them down. So pause the video if you would like to now. Okay, I hope that you've got some lovely ideas there. Well, probably not that lovely actually, considering what we were thinking about right then. But make sure, if you haven't already, make sure that you write those down on your note page, okay? So now we're going to close our eyes again for a second time, and we're going to reverse this. So make sure your eyes are closed, and I want you to imagine being free. What is being free? Okay, what does that actually look like? What do you imagine when I say to you the word freedom? What do you associate that with? What is it? Is there like a living thing that you kind of associate being free to? Is it something to do with you, or anything, the world? Just, open up your imagination and just focus on the word freedom. What does that look like to you? Okay, it might not even be something you can see, it might just be like a concept. Okay, so when you're ready, I'd like you to open your eyes and write those down. Or if you need a bit more time, you're going to need to pause the video here anyway, so you can have a bit more time. Imagine what that means, what the word free means to you, and what you see in your head when you imagine that word. I would like you to write down on your notepad. So pause the video and do that now for me, please. Okay, right, so you should have quite a few ideas, and you've got the opposite. So you've got the kind of trap side of it, and then the freedom side of it, okay? So have a look at these images here that I've got for you. There's a range, and they're representing different things. So I really want you to take a moment and really take them in. Have a look at each one of them. Have a think, which ones represent freedom and which ones are the opposite? Okay, are either captive or withheld or trapped. Which ones show that? Okay, there might be actually both in the image, in some of the images. So have a look. You might want to pause the video here, and perhaps if there is somebody around you. You might want to open up a discussion with them, talk to them about it. Okay, what do you see in these images? Are there any ones that you're particularly drawn to? Do any of them match the ideas that you just wrote down, the ones that you imagined? Okay, so if you need to pause the video now to do that. Okay, so you might want to make a note of any ones that you were particularly drawn to, or anything that kind of came up for you when looking at this artwork, because when we're talking about freedom and things like freedom of speech, the artwork that we're going to create is going to have a lot to do with emotion and a lot to do with feelings. So some of these images perhaps aren't very comfortable for you to look at, and that's important for you to recognize that and maybe make a note of that. What made you uncomfortable about it? Okay, or perhaps some of them actually really lifted you up and made you think of happier things. So there's some in here that that make me think of happier things, and you've got the very visually clear elements here, like the birds and the butterflies flying free. And butterflies for me have been something that always represent that freedom. And then you've got things like for example, the wind or the ocean or something like that. Can you see this one here? You know, that could represent freedom to you. You know, that feeling when you go outside and you can feel the wind blowing on your face and you just feel like you're free. Okay, so this is what I was saying before about your ideas. It may not be an actual physical thing that you can hold. It might be something like the wind. It might be a certain animal like the butterfly and the bird and things that represent freedom. Okay. So yeah, really focus in on that. And then if you need to make any adjustments to your notes, you might want to do that now. Okay. So we are going to have a go at drawing freedom, or not. So you might have been drawn to the ones that actually were the opposite of freedom, perhaps the ones that showed that entrapped, that captive kind of feeling. So whichever emotion you're most drawn to, I want you to hone in on that. And we're going to put together some ideas now. So have a look at your notepad. Okay, and I want you to really think about your ideas, and you're going to have a go at sketching that out. So it's whichever one is most vibrant to you, it was most vivid in your head. So when you imagined it, you could really clearly see it. So for me, that was the freedom side of it. I could really clearly see it and feel it. Actually, when I was imagining it, I could feel it. I could feel the wind on my face. I could feel that kind of freedom of like flying maybe, and I could see it very clearly in my head. You might have felt that for that kind of entrapped feeling, okay? Whichever one you were most drawn to. Now, what I want you to do is think of a design that represents that. So it could almost be that you literally sketch out what was in your head. Now, I'm not going to demonstrate this one for you because I do not want to put ideas in your head for this. I really want you to focus on how you're feeling and what you saw in your imagination. So what did it look like? Okay, how did it feel? And I just want you're not creating a beautiful finished piece of art here. It really is just sketching it out, and it doesn't have to be right, it doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't even have to really look like anything. You know, that feeling might be a whole load of colors or patterns. It doesn't have to be an actual thing. Okay, whatever that feeling brought to you, I want you to get that on the page. It's like a brain dump. You are dumping what's in your mind onto the page. And you can use anything to do this. You can use pencils. You could actually get paint out. Often when I'm feeling something quite strongly, then I'm using paint, and I'm using my tools, but I'd be using my hands as well. Whatever it is, get it on that page, okay? And go with the feeling and perhaps the colors that are associated with that. So freedom, in my head, one of the colors that comes up is yellow and white. Okay, so have a think about how you're feeling. What colours are you poured towards? Okay, what colours represent that? And then get that on there as well. There might be an actual physical thing that represents it. Get that in there too. So again, I don't want to go into what would be mine too much because I want you to be focused on your ideas. But have a conversation with the people that are around you. Talk it through and have that conversation and really kind of go into how it makes you feel, because these type of feelings could either make you feel quite happy and joyful, particularly if you're thinking about freedom, or it might make you feel quite uncomfortable if you're thinking about the opposite of that. Okay, and then this week is all about the design, the ideas, the plans. It's not a finished piece of artwork, it's the feeling of the finished piece of artwork. Okay, and then next week we're going to use these ideas and to start constructing our art piece through that, and we're going to be looking particularly at the pop art style, so it's going to be a lot of fun. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Hi. I really hope that you have got lots of ideas together. Please feel free to go back into the video and pause it. You might want to have a look at some of the artworks that I had displayed for you. That's absolutely fine. Take your time over this. Don't rush it, because next week we're really going to draw from these ideas. We're going to pull from them and we're going to start thinking about creating our art. Now, I'm hoping that we can work in some collage into this project. So if you are learning at home, collect some things that you can use for the collage. So that might be magazines, newspapers, even things like cereal boxes, anything you have around, particularly the colours that you're feeling. Okay, because remember, I'm going to reiterate it again. This is all about the emotion this week. This is about the feeling, okay, that it brings about, which is why it may not even look like anything. It might just be an explosion of colour. But I want you to just keep aside and start collecting things that we're going to be able to use. And it doesn't all have to be paper or card. It could be like sweet wrappers, or anything that's kind of see-through as well is a really nice dimension. I do like the use of newspapers and things like that as well. There might be particular words that you start taking notice of. Okay, so you might want to kind of just keep them, just keep everything that you're kind of drawn to, and then we're going to be able to use that when we start creating our artwork next week. Okay, all right, I really look forward to seeing your ideas. Remember, there is no right or wrong, so just go with it, go with that feeling. That's what's important in this part particularly, because it is all about the ideas. And I look forward to seeing you next week and bringing it all together. Okay, all right then, take care and I'll see you then. Bye.